Hello, and welcome to the Sugar Bell Review, a program dedicated to learning about the people, places, and policies that make up the Bellbrook Sugar Creek community. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tonight we have with us Pam Jeltema of Grace and Love Cakes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Pam.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
All right. Well, I was lucky enough to get a sampling of some of your products, and I'm excited to talk about those, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about you first. Are you a Bellbrook Sugar Creek resident?
I am not. I'm originally a native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Traveled a lot all over the country. Ended up in Colorado Springs via Kansas City, where I met my husband.
Okay.
And we got married and moved to Colorado Springs, where we lived for 18 years. And we downsized, went full-time RVing, and ended up in Ohio, ended up in Dayton with some college friends of his. And we were here for about 4 or 5 weeks, and they said, well, why don't you guys just move here? And we went, okay, I think we will.
That sounds like a good idea.
So here we are, and we moved here about 7 years ago.
All right, so now you moved to just the general Dayton area? Or
Actually, we moved to Centerville.
Oh, okay, so you're kind of a next door neighbor.
Kind of a next door neighbor. We lived in Centerville for 5 years and then moved to Bellbrook about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like a nice, well, it sounds very familiar actually. We had a similar cross-country sort of roundabout way to get here, but that sounds like fun. Well, do you enjoy it here?
I love it. Bellbrook is home.
Okay.
Bellbrook is, I think it's our forever home.
What's your favorite part of being here?
The people.
Okay.
The people, the community, the sense of just neighbors.
Awesome. That sounds, it does seem to be an amazingly tight-knit community in many ways.
Yeah, it just feels like family.
Well, that's amazing. And so you ended up settling here, and then you started a business, or did you start the business before you settled in Bellbrook?
I started the business actually in Centerville.
Okay.
And my husband was diagnosed with silent strokes.
Okay.
And we had done a lot of medical treatments, and we finally found a doctor in Columbus, Ohio, and he pretty much took us off of all grains.
Okay. You went gluten-free is the way to go, right?
Not only gluten-free, but grain-free.
Okay.
Which meant no wheat, corn, millet, oats, quinoa.
Wow.
The whole 9 yards. And I grew up in a big Italian family.
Oh, that must have been rough.
So I kind of went, okay, now what?
What do I do without pasta?
What do I do without this stuff? And bread.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been baking and cooking my whole life, and grew up in a restaurant family. And so I really just had to reinvent the wheel
when it came to what you could use in your cooking.
Yeah.
Now, did it help?
It did. It did. We've sort of reached a plateau. He initially started with a lot of memory issues, and we initially thought that it was Alzheimer's, but it's really reached a plateau, and it's helped him. Helped a lot with the memory issues. Okay.
Regain some level of what he was like prior to the onset.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wonderful. Now, what gave you the idea to go? Do you do anything besides cakes?
No, simply dessert. Well, in our personal life, we do. It's completely grain-free. But as far as my business, no, it's just desserts.
So how did you go from needing to cook for home to deciding that you were going to experiment with grain-free cooking in more of a business capacity?
Well, I started baking birthday cakes for friends of ours.
Huh.
Just for fun. I would experiment with different flours, nut flours, and things like that. Just started baking birthday cakes for friends of ours and bringing them to on their birthdays. And after about 2 years, they told me that I needed to start a business because nobody was doing this.
Nobody.
And they really tasted good, and they kept goading me, saying, you need to start a business, you need to start a business. And so I let it go for about 2 years, and then they were relentless. And finally I said, okay, all right, I'll start a business. And I approached a neighbor who had a food truck.
Oh, well, there's a good idea.
And I said, would you be willing to sell my desserts on your food truck? And he said, well, let me taste them. So I brought some samples, and he said, these are really good. And so that's how it kind of began. And I started a website and a little Facebook page, and it grew from there.
I'm sure you're fairly used to hearing that, because when people think grain-free or gluten-free, they tend to think cardboard.
Cardboard.
You know, and I was like, oh, okay, give me, you know. But yeah, no, we had the luck of sampling, and that was our reaction too. It was, wow, this is a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah, it was my, I mean, I endeavored from the beginning that if I was going to do something, it was going to taste like a real dessert and not artificial. And everything I use is organic.
Okay.
Just free-range eggs that I buy from a farmer, organic grass-fed butter,
Wow.
local honey,
Okay.
organic flours. So I mean, the ingredients are really good.
They're very top shelf ingredients, yeah. And it shows in the, I mean, it tasted amazing. I was telling you earlier, and I will repeat it for the audience because I think they should know, your carrot cake was phenomenal. I'm not even a carrot cake fan usually. I mean, that's the kind of thing that if somebody hands it to you on their birthday, you'll eat it out of politeness, but not necessarily because your first reaction is, ooh, carrot cake. But it was incredible, and the lemon was phenomenal. We had the pumpkin, which of course it's pumpkin spice season, so
Absolutely.
we were excited for that one. And the banana bread, you know, we got through all the fruit ones, and we were just absolutely impressed. So that was, I appreciate the samples because that,
Thank
that
you
was
very much.
My daughter's reaction. She has a friend that she keeps in touch with from her old school district who is gluten intolerant. And she was like, I have to tell her about these. So she was very, very much wants to spread the news of your delicious
Well,
baked
good.
goods.
Please do. Please do. I mean, it's truly a labor of love to be able to do this and to make desserts that really taste good and to help people who have food allergies.
Well, sometimes pretty severe ones. You know, in the case of gluten, it can have some
Yeah.
really nasty.
Yeah.
Well, it's impressive that you were able to find that niche and doing something you love and being able to help people in the community. It's a really cool niche to find.
Thanks.
Now, I know I've seen your cakes at the Three Trees Farm.
Right.
So are there other places around town besides Three Trees Farms that people can find your lovely desserts? Are they still on the food truck?
They still are on the food truck. They're also at Little Red Barn up in Heber Heights.
Okay.
Where else are they? Oh, yes, and we've just added a little place called Dished. Katie Easton, who shares my kitchen space with me, is doing a meal delivery service, and it's primarily gluten-free meals.
Cool.
And we've just added those to her menu. And I'm down at 80 East Franklin Street. I don't have a retail shop, but order through the website, order through Facebook, call me, text me. You can always stop in and pick something up. I usually have a selection of the mini cakes in the freezer.
Now, which are your favorites to cook? Like, I'm sure everybody's got their, you know, I like cooking, but when I get to do this one, I'm the happiest. So what would be your...
I really enjoy the carrot cakes and the cheesecakes.
There's cheesecake?
Yes.
Ooh.
I make plain cheesecake all year round.
Okay.
Strawberry, let's see, in the summertime I do strawberry cheesecake, blueberry cheesecake, key lime cheesecake, strawberry mango, And then in the fall, I do pumpkin cheesecake, of course.
Of course. Do you do anything with apples? Given that it's apple season, I was actually kind of curious.
I do apple pies.
Wow. And it's all grain-free crust.
Yes.
Oof. Now I'm curious. I'm like, I want to come try your crust because I'm not a crust person either. But I want to, now I'm like curious. I was like, the rest were really good.
Yes.
Now I want to try the other.
and I just did a pumpkin pie the other day to test out a little shortbread crust.
Ooh.
And it came out very good. My husband gave it the 2 thumbs up. So
I'm sure he's happy. He gets to test
he
all
is.
the products.
He is.
That seems like a good role to play. I'm like, I don't have to do any of the work, but I get to try all of the
Everything.
good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely.
So he gave it the 2 thumbs up. And that was my first try with the organic pumpkin pie with the shortbread crust.
Now, do you actually do birthday cakes and things like that on request as well? Not just the little ones?
Right. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were to surprise my daughter's friend with a birthday cake, we could.
Absolutely. I do 6-inch, 9-inch. I'll do a sheet cake because I have done weddings. I also do dessert bars for weddings.
That sounds like fun. That would be.
It is, because I have little bite-sized, like party bites that people that are real popular over the holidays, and also for weddings.
So you can do those as sort of almost not really a catering, but yeah, when you're doing an event, you could get a mixed tray of little.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I said, I've done the dessert bars, which are very popular, where you can order dozens of different flavors.
Now, with cakes or any of these event type things, what kind of lead time do you generally need? I'm assuming you would need at least a few days, considering it's just you.
If it's a wedding, I would need probably 30 days lead time. If it's a birthday cake, I'd like 48 hours.
At least.
Yeah, 48
at
hours.
least 2 days.
Yeah, a 48-hour lead time.
Well, that's really specific. That's really a nice window. It sounds like there's. I'm trying to think of how to put this. It sounds like that is the perfect type of situation for somebody that might not necessarily always get cupcakes when they go to their friend's birthday party, or they might not get.
Right.
So and the only reason I think about that is because my daughter, again, with her friend, we would specifically go to a place in Centerville that was over by Epic Loot that also does gluten-free, to buy her a cookie or a cupcake or something so that when she'd come to Lex's birthday party, she wasn't left out.
Yeah.
But being able to provide an entire cake that just tastes amazing would be super neat, I think. As a parent in particular, being able to provide that for my kid sounds special.
And the other thing that's really nice about it is that you can buy several and keep them in your freezer just for those times when, if you have people over and someone may end up being a celiac or have a gluten intolerance, and you've got people over and you've already made a dessert that isn't.
Yeah.
And this person happens to be, and you can say, oh, but I have something for you.
That would be an incredible thing to be able to have on hand. And they freeze well?
They freeze very well, and I've actually been told that they can keep in the freezer for up to about 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and still taste just like they've been fresh baked.
Wow, that's incredible. And they really were. I can't, again, you think gluten-free and you tend to think, but no, they were super moist. They were super flavorful. It was just incredible. So
Good. Good. I'm so glad you liked them.
I absolutely recommend everybody try one at least, because it really is surprisingly good for something so unexpected, And I love the idea of being able to have them on hand.
Yeah.
That just seems super cool. So you always have something for somebody, even if they can't always eat everything you can.
Yep.
So
yeah,
awesome. Thank you so much for coming in and letting us know a little bit more about you and about how you got here and settled on Bellbrook and then started this really cool niche business.
Well, thank you for having me.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience about Grace and Love Cakes before we close down?
Get your Thanksgiving orders in quickly.
Yeah, try the pie.
That's right.
I know I will.
All righty.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We really hope you enjoyed learning about Grace and Love cakes. Remember, you can find them at Three Trees Farm. You can find them at the Little Red Barn in Huber Heights, and they come on the dished meal order menu. So if you're looking at that, they are available there. She has a website and a Facebook page, and we hope that you go and check them out. They really are delicious. Have a good night.